Thank you, Jeff. That was beautiful. Good morning.
Good morning.
My topic this morning is about the subconscious mind. And I chose that because I think most of us do not realize how very, very powerful our subconscious mind is. And as I began to work on the idea of talking about this, I realized that, as I often do, I had bitten off more than I could chew. So I decided I needed to dispense with some of the things. And so we often talk in terms of three minds. This is our conscious mind, our subconscious mind, and then the one mind that unites us all, the mind of God, which we are all using. So I dispensed with God, and I dispensed with the conscious mind, excuse me, and decided to stick with just the subconscious mind because it appears to most of us to be invisible. Many of us who have not had metaphysical training or some kind of training like that don't know a lot about what the subconscious mind is. So I'll just try to be brief about that. The subconscious mind is really the ruler of our bodies, and most of the things we do, and often many of the things we think about, although we don't know that. Our job is to know that, and our job is to choose what it is that we want to think about, what we want to do and want to have. So the subconscious mind, much like an iceberg that floats in the water, the conscious mind is only the small part on top. The subconscious underneath is huge. It takes care of all of the bodily functions. Without your subconscious mind, you would soon gasp and die for lack of breath, because it is your subconscious mind that is working your lungs and your heart and everything else that your body is doing while you are listening to me. You are listening to me, I hope, with your conscious minds. The subconscious mind is kind of listening underneath. Now, your subconscious mind has a tendency to take over and act for you when your things are in trouble, when things are going wrong, and you do what you have habitually known to do in such circumstances. It remembers your habits. It does all of that. It is the seat of your memory. It contains your memories. It does so many things that they're almost, it's almost impossible to count everything that it does. However, you are in charge of the directions that you give it. Now, most of us are not used to giving directions to our subconscious mind all day long, and we don't. We really don't. What we do, though, is give instructions to it by what we constantly think about. What is the thing that is uppermost in our minds most of the time? And this wonderful subconscious mind does not argue. It will not tell you, no, you can't. It has no sense of humor. It does not know if you are joking. So if you walk around telling people that Joe is a pain in the ass, think twice, please. Okay? It doesn't know you're joking. So with that in mind, we need to look at something we don't look at very often, and that is our dominant train of thought. We may know we have one, and we may just keep thinking about it, but we do not realize that we are sending instructions to the subconscious mind. Now, when we want to make an improvement in our lives, let's say, change something we want to do, get rid of something that we don't want, we will often turn to God. Last resort most of the time, but we will turn to God. And I hate to tell you that God isn't listening. There is no great master up there listening, waiting for you to explain why it is that you should have things thus and so. It has already given you a servant called your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind has been listening to everything. And what the thing, if you are complaining about it or saying, I don't like this, I wish I could have something different, and all of those things, and please God get me this or that, the subconscious mind is just listening to that tendency of thought. Okay? Now, if there is something you really want to change, such as, there are several that are going around right now. One of my favorite ones is fat. Okay. I won't ask for a show of hands. But how many people in here have thought they're too fat? Oh, I saw this little. You do not want that. That is not what you want. And you might be praying or treating or working or dieting or doing all of these things in order to not be fat. Okay. Do you realize that at the same time you are saying to your subconscious mind, I am fat, I am fat, I am fat. We get up in the morning and we look in the mirror. Oh, God. I am fat. I'm going to do something about it. I'm going to see a doctor. I'm going to get a diet book. I'm going to do this. Everything focused, think about it, everything focused on I am fat. We do not focus very much on I'm going to pull my socks up and I am going to be thin. Okay. Okay, that must have taken off at least a half a pound. I am now thin. And I was actually thrilled this morning to put these pants on I haven't worn in a while, and they're now too big for me. How do you like that? I'm going to put that in my subconscious mind. My pants are too big for me. And if I keep on talking about it, I might get some new ones, you know, things work out. But you have to try to turn your don't wants into this is not the real me. I want the real me back again, the real me, the person that is the divine idea of you in the mind of God. The person that is seeing to it that you get your breath and you do all of those things, unless you do something to stop it or erase it or do something you shouldn't do. I'm remembering many years ago when my husband and I were not very long in this country, and he bought a business about, I don't know, 1975, I'll say, something like that. And I first found my first religious science church. And I was learning this kind of stuff. And it's a lot to learn in the beginning, you know. And we needed new clients for this business my husband had just bought. We had a good customer, a big one, you know. And it's not really wise to run a business when you've only got one really good customer. We had several little ones. So my husband gave me the task. You are now in a religious science church. You're learning how to treat for a big customer. We need a big customer. So all the time I'm treating a big customer. Looking out the window. Oh, is this the one? Is this the one? You know, new car pulls in the parking lot. Is this the one? Finally, one came. I didn't realize it, of course. But I was just praying for something to take back to class that I could say I'd done it. And the man walked in. He weighed at least 350 pounds and bought a $5 rubber stamp.
Oh my God.
I want a big customer. I want a big customer. You see, that's all my subconscious mind can hear. It cannot hear, I want a prospering good business partner to join with us in our business, or whatever else it is you want to say. All it heard was, I need a big customer. I have to tell you, when I went back to the next class and told my minister, she went into hysterics and used me as an example as how this doesn't work. Because we're just always doing that. Aren't we just always doing that kind of thing? I don't want this, I don't want this. The subconscious mind has a job. It is to get you what you need, get you what you really desire. It is not there to answer your smallest whim. It is a serious thing. You need to tell it the truth. You need to speak to it in terms that it understands. It only has one answer. Please hear this. It only ever says, yes, my child. Oh, I am too fat. Yes, my child. I want to be rich and famous and beautiful and not have to do any work. Nothing. It doesn't argue, it just does not act. And when it does act, its answer is always yes. If your life is not doing what you would like your life to do, you need to be changing the way you are thinking about what you want. We often think way too much in terms of what we do not want. And the answer is not there. It does not say, oh, poor you. Poor you. I have with me this morning the little book that I went back to find. Well, I didn't go back to find it. I found it accidentally again. Haven't read it in years. And I wondered why I hadn't read it, so I took it up and started reading it again. This is by Dr. Venice Bloodworth. And I think there are hundreds of thousands of copies of this out there in the world. First edition, 1952. This is an old book, so it's the 18th edition, 1980. And right about that time, there was a challenge because Dr. Bloodworth's daughter wrote this book. She took all of her mother's notes and took them and put them together and fashioned them together and wrote this book, sent it off to the publisher as her mother's book. Unfortunately, her mother's notes contained things of interest that she had heard somebody else say or had read somewhere else. You know how you do, oh, I must write that down. And the woman took her mother's notes as something that she had done. So there was quite a hoo-ha about plagiarism and all those kinds of things. I don't remember how it all was all resolved, if it ever was. I think you can still buy the book. But for some reason, I took umbrage at the possibility that there might be some plagiarism in there and put the book aside. Another one of the challenges we sometimes do, toss out the baby with the bathwater. There was so much of good in here, so when I started reading it again, this is what I picked up. So because I cannot write notes this week, and I'll tell you all about that another day, I just put some markers in my book. Let's try this one. It is strange that we so long failed to understand the wonderful power of thought, for it is taught by every religion and philosophy in the history of the world. Paul, when in captivity and chained to a Roman soldier, gave to the world this message. Now, almost all of us have heard this message, love this message. It's a very good message. Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue, and if there be any praise, think on these things. And we try that, do that. You know the word we don't think about very much? Think. Think about it. Don't just say it. Think about it. There's a reason, a real reason, that he put that, or Paul said that. Let me see. Oh, here's another one I underlined that I like. Any statement continuously made by the conscious mind, okay, here we go, is accepted by the subconscious mind as a pattern by which to weave your future. Here's the idea of that continuous train of thought. Okay. I'm so poor. I wish we could get some money from somewhere. I'm so poor. We think of the things that we are sorry about, unhappy about, and we talk about them. Okay. Oh, I could give you such a story when my hand wouldn't work anymore. I have had more doctor's appointments in the last 2 weeks than I've had in the last 2 years, or maybe even 10 years. I don't know. It's absolutely fascinating to me, the ideas that they can come up with. And I persevere with it because I think maybe they'll come up with a good one day. But it goes on to say, your present conditions are the result of your past thinking. Your present conditions are, not maybe, your present conditions, whatever it is you're living with or living in or how you're living, they are a result of your past thinking. So you can understand why it is that we want you to pay attention to what you're thinking about. Okay. What else can I find in here? It's just way too much for me to... I don't do book reports. Not very well anyway. Okay. Oh, this is... Oh, I should have done this one with the I am fat thing. She gives case histories in here. When she dieted and thought of herself as fat, she was simply instructing her subconscious mind to pile on more fat. So that's all she was talking about. And that is what everyone does who depends on dieting and starving to take off flesh. Follow the lady, and she gives instructions way back somewhere about how to start changing your thinking about I am fat to thinking about the fact, not that I am thin, because then your mind is obviously going to the fact I'm lying. You ever tried that? We had a wonderful teacher in religious science, Dr. Charles somebody,
Barker.
wonderful
Barker.
guy. Thank you, Charles, Raymond Charles Barker, thank you. Dr. Barker was not a handsome man to look at. Dr. Barker was a wonderful, homely, marvelous teacher, large. And he said in his early teaching, someone had told him to stand naked in front of the mirror and tell himself how wonderful he was. He managed it twice before he decided that if he tried for a third time, he'd throw up. Because there is within our conscious mind, something that knows the difference between lies and truth. And whilst he was speaking what he was trying to tell himself was the truth, his conscious mind was telling him, you're lying, you're lying, you're lying, which is worse than doing nothing at all. Okay? So he told us many, many ways to try to turn things around for ourselves. And the thing that we had to do, and here is where I give God some space in here, give God a little shout out. The whole mind of God, the universal mind of God, the infinite mind of God, is where absolute truth lives. Nothing but truth can live in the absolute mind of God. There is where you go to find out what is the truth about you. And the physical things about you have nothing to do with it. What is in the mind about you is who or what God knows you to be. And since you are created out of that divine mind, completely out of it, you can only be what it is. Doesn't much matter what you look like. You are what God is. A divine, spiritual being, having a human experience, living, loving, breathing, being, expressing God to the best of your ability, if you have any thoughts about that. And that is what you must put in mind. If you are sick, if you are poor or feel that you are poor, if you are overweight or underweight or ill or whatever, nobody loves you and your boss hates you and all of that stuff, you must go to that one divine mind where only the truth lives. God knows nothing about your fact. It's no good talking to God about the fact that nobody likes you, that you're fat, you're ugly, you're tall, whatever it is, God knows nothing about that. God only knows the truth about you, that you came into this earth a divine, pure, whole, complete human being, exactly as you are. Even if you were only born with one leg, that's you. That's the way you were born. You are perfect like that, and will be able to live a perfect life like that. So we can take what is wrong with us and find a way to make it right. One of my students who became a minister was a diabetic. And her complaint to me all the time was, I keep treating, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm saying my prayers, I'm doing everything right, I read the book, and blah, 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 blah. And I said, well, just tell me what you do in the morning when you get out and get ready to come into church and do whatever you're doing. Well, and she began to list for me, first of all, the preparations that she made to take the medicines and the special food to church with her so that she could keep her diabetes in check. And so I said to her, so the very first thing in your thought in the morning is taking care of your diabetes. She said, yes. And I said, do you see what you're telling your subconscious mind? I like this. I want this taken care of. Don't let me forget anything. This is the way it's got to be. That, to your subconscious mind, is the most important thing. What you want to start your day with is being thankful that you have this wonderful body, that you are being assisted in helping with, and that things are getting better every day, and then go about your business and do things like that. Okay? Now, there's another good story I want to tell you. It'll come back. Oh yes, it's about forgetting. I will ask for a show of hands. How many people here think they're beginning to forget things more and more? Oh my, yes. Okay, so I think I'll use this one. Okay. It's a trick I want to give you. It will work, but it is a trick. And it's okay to use tricks if you want to change your mind. When you find that you have forgotten to do something, what are the first words out of your mouth, or to yourself, or whatever? What are the first words? Anybody? What? I forgot. First thing out of your mind, I forgot. Over and over, we did that. Oh, I forgot. Blah, 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 blah. Coming along, going along, doing something fine. Oh, I forgot. There was water here. What did I do when I saw the water glass? I remembered. Do we ever say to ourselves, instead of, oh, I forgot, oh, I remembered. Oh, I just remembered there's water here. It's okay to remember that you forgot, but what you want to do is realize that you remembered. You remembered. I'm doing it myself. You know, when you start going up in years, you forget where you left your keys. And I prepared a box of stuff to bring for somebody today, and I left it on the armchair. I got all the way to here, and then, and I almost said to myself, I forgot the box. But I didn't. I said, oh, I just remembered the box. And I have decided to work upon being so grateful that I forgot the box. No, that I remembered the box. No, that I've remembered that I forgot the box. I remembered that I forgot the box. That's okay. I made something good out of it. At least I didn't wait to get home and remember that I didn't have it. There are ways to trick the subconscious mind, and it is only a trick, but it's a good trick because we train our subconscious mind with the things that we keep saying. And if we only say, I forgot, and then forget to cross that out by saying, oh, I remembered, we've got 500 times I forgot in there and twice I remembered. And that's the way the subconscious mind picks up what you think about. This is a wonderful gift of God. I'm just going to look at my notice. Okay. Oh. Never let thoughts dwell on what you don't want. Do you have a daydream? Got any negative daydreams? Things you think about? Here's one. I said early on that your subconscious mind is the seat of your memory. And this may be a topic for another talk, but I'd like to say your memories are stories you tell yourself about things that happened. The way they happened, why they happened, all of that stuff, that's all in your memory. That's one of the jobs of the subconscious mind, to store the memories. You ever cleaned your memories out? You got any memories in there that still have a little twitch of pain? Ever felt betrayed? Ever felt let down? Have any of those things happen to you? If those things are in your memory box, you need to get in there and have a clean out. What you need to do is go in there and look at that memory, take it out of the box, look at it on its own. What has it done for you over the years, this story you keep telling yourself? If it hasn't done anything that's really any good, it's time to say, I'm going to discard this. Find something in the memory that has good in it. Oh, well, she did this and this and this. But I did learn about that. I learned this. This was good for me. Okay, I'll just take that as my story instead of the bad part. If I want to remember Mary Jo, I'll say, oh, Mary Jo taught me a wonderful lesson one day, and so on and so forth. And you don't have to remember the painful bad part. Clean out the memories, because every time you tell the story with the painful part inside, you're giving another message to your subconscious mind. This painful stuff is what I really keep in my memory box. I must keep it in my memory box because I like it, because I want it. The subconscious mind doesn't know it won't choose for you. It will not choose for you. I can see that I'm running out of time. Considering I didn't have any notes, that's a marvel. What does this say? Oh, quote, page 29. All right, I'll give it a shot. Oh, I already gave you that. All right. I think that's enough, but I want to just close by saying one more thing, give God one more shout. We are magnificently made. Magnificently made. And it behooves us to look at how we're presenting ourselves to the world, and then take another look and say, is that what my subconscious mind is believing about me? Because it is so powerful. It is filled with the love of God that only wants to give you what you keep talking about. And so it is. Amen.
So it is.